Let me connect the mic here. Let's start this all over again. Hello, this is Juiceman3941. I know you're usually hearing after midnight and whatnot, but I forgot to plug my mic in like a big freaking dummy. Anyway, I'm here to talk to you all today. This is episode 36 of the Gaming Roundtable. And I've been gone for a while, but there's been some, well, let's just face facts. There's been a lot of turmoil in my everyday personal life that has caused me to not be able to do these videos for some time now. This particular video is entitled Internal Hype. And what I mean by internal hype is, yes, we sometimes get hype from the developers. Now, let's just face facts, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube community. Konnichiwa, my game players and my bitches. You know, the problem is that the external hype from these companies makes us want to completely go out there and buy these games. They're designed to show us the best bits of the game, the super cool graphics and different things, and for us to, hey, play the game, do your thing. But, you know, sometimes we have run into this problem, which I refer to as internal hype. Now, recently, Hello Games decided to postpone No Man's Sky to August, which is in some ways sad, in other ways not. They're trying to make the game the best thing that they can. And I, for one, applaud them for doing it, because I don't want them to launch a game that's going to be terrible. But at some point they got like death threats over it, which is even more absurd to me. Really, gamers, this is what you're stooped to. Man, do you really want to play a game that's not up to snuff when it launches? I'm looking at you, Battlefield 4, for doing that shit. Or you, Assassin's Creed Unity. Way to go, ACU, and what that accomplished for Ubisoft. You see, the problem is sometimes we have an internal hype machine inside of us. You know, we follow the games, we look at the games, we kind of hype the games in our own mind outside of what the developer is already doing. We all know the E3 videos and everything aside, they're going to hype it. They're going to do what they've got to do. And it's kind of a shame. It's kind of a shame, because that's kind of the way it's kind of the way things are right now when it comes to you know, the way it is when in the development part of the game that we get to see. But our own internal hype machine can bring us to a lot of disappointment. A lot of us are very hyped for that game. And I guarantee you, by the time that the game does launch, I don't think No Man's Sky may be a critical darling, but it might be a miss with the community. Kind of the way that Overwatch is receiving the same backlash. Mainly because Overwatch, it's a wonderful game, it's fun as hell to play, but Overwatch does lack a lot of stuff as far as game modes are concerned. There's trailers showing where, you know, these characters are supposed to protect humanity or whatever they're doing, but there is no story. They just fight each other. And for Blizzard to create a world where you're supposedly doing one thing, but you're doing a completely different thing, I understand the backlash against it, personally. This is really, these characters are cool. Why is Reaper the way he is? Or why is this character the way he is? And you're not seeing that, and even though it's Blizzard, and they'll probably do the lore justice at some point, again, this is the internal hype machine. The game was already getting good reviews before it even launched. And I think Overwatch is a very fun game, but it's lacking in a lot of ways. It is not a 10 out of 10 game in any way, shape, or form. And in some ways, and I don't even own Battleborn. I just played both betas, both Overwatch and that. And I look at it like, I didn't really look at the hype of both games either, or Overwatch for that. And that's the thing, the internal hype. We sometimes build games up in our head that wildly exceeds our expectations. And yes, I'm, you know, retreading old ground when it comes to games like Destiny that we hyped in our head and they hyped on their end, and Watch Dogs that they hyped in Titanfall and all that other bullshit. Let's just face facts, it's bullshit. It doesn't make any sense. And it's just one of those things. that you kind of got to look at from that point of view. My point of view, the internal hype that we sometimes give games. I'm all about, and I'm showing again, I know you're seeing Evolve playing in the background. I do this a lot, but I love Evolve. Evolve didn't have as much fanfare as some of those other games. And I didn't really hype this game. It's nice to buy a game with no expectations. You never know what you're going to get. And sometimes you get very good games, and sometimes you don't get less than stellar games. I talked very at length about Technomancer, which is not being really so much hyped or pushed, but I can already tell it's going to be a really fun game to play, a really good game. A great game? No. But a really good game, yes. Probably in the upper, 7.5, 8s, 8.5 kind of echelon when it comes to review and all that good stuff. And I look at games in that way. We have to be careful about how we ourselves internally are hyping the games. I don't really give a shit about what DICE, EA, Ubisoft, Activision, game companies, developers, publishers are trying to hype. We all know they want our money. They're going to show us the cool bits to make sure that we fork over that money. But at the end of the day, we have to also be careful of our own hype machine. The hype machine, when we're looking at videos, when we're seeing stuff that's there that may not necessarily be there. So we have to be very, very careful and cautious, gamers. As a community, as a whole, we've got to be careful. Now, a word from our sponsors. Today's episode, Gaming Roundtable, is brought to you by Beer in the Throat. That's right, a little beer in the throat. Ugh. Yeah, it's kind of a strong beer I'm drinking there, ladies and gentlemen. There's a bourbon Baron Ale from Kentucky Ale. And, I've already had like one Killian's and another short Killian's. And yes, this right here will probably put me done and whatnot. But I got some other videos I'm going to be doing for you here after this one because I need to talk about it, about gamer self-entitlement and some other stuff going on that kind of ties into this one. Internal hype machine of our own. A lot of times we will look up game videos and look up previews and we hype the game on our own minds to a point where it'll never meet the expectations that we think it should. And this is why I feel that games that come out are not always successful because we expect, I think, sometimes too much out of them. After all, it's a game. It's made by human beings, which are flawed and fallible, and they're not always perfect. And yes, the publisher and the advertisement and all that's going to try to get you to buy the game, but sometimes we ourselves personally hype the game to unrealistic expectations. So by the time the game comes out and you're excited for it, and you pre-ordered it, and you get in line at the GameStop, and you get your damn game after midnight, and you go home and you install the fucker, and a half hour later or so you're playing it, and you're kind of like, you kind of get yourself disappointed. It's not what you thought it was going to be. It doesn't mean the game that you don't think the game is good. It's just that it doesn't have the same thing that you thought it might have been, and that's how I kind of feel about it. I'm happy to see betas of games come out. I think it's great that we had a Battleborn beta, a Doom beta, an Overwatch beta. It's nice because years ago, and not too many years ago, we didn't have that luxury. Occasionally they would put a demo out of a game and we got to try it that way, but for the most part we didn't know if it was going to be good or bad. We just kind of rolled the dice like Julius Caesar did when he crossed the Rubicon. Rolled the dice and hopefully it was a decent game. But here's the thing, people. We gotta be careful not to hype the game in our mind, especially if you haven't played it. Remember, gameplay videos and all that is subjective. It doesn't necessarily mean the indicative of what you're going to experience. Take Fallout 4, for example. It's not that Fallout 4 is a bad game in any way, shape, or form. It's a great game in many ways. But I had hyped the game to the point in my own mind that I was so looking forward to it because how much I just enjoyed Fallout 3. how much I enjoyed Brotherhood of Steel on the Xbox, original Xbox, how much I enjoyed the PC version, how much I enjoyed New Vegas, that I just expected some ridiculous thing, and Fallout 4 felt so much like just Fallout 3 with better graphics, and that's all it really felt like. That after playing it for a few days, I was like, this is kind of boring. Like, it's not what I thought it was going to be. Because I hyped it in my mind to be better than it is. And then I'm going to leave you gamers. This is a short video with this. Gamers, the gaming community, the YouTube community, try not to hype the game in your head. Don't look at gameplay videos and previews and listen to all this crap and get it to the point where you're so excited for a game that if the game doesn't turn out the way it's supposed to be, don't sit there and make YouTube videos and take a shit on it. Remember, you have it in your mind that it's going to be probably much more than the sum of its parts. And that's usually how it goes with this kind of situation. Anyway, this is JuiceMan 3941 Gaming Roundtable. Thank you for joining me for episode 36. I know it was a short one. I haven't done one in a while, but I got a little bit longer one coming up. And like I said, and I always in every episode this way, and as always, my fellow gamers out there, don't necessarily believe the hype. Don't necessarily create it either. Good gaming.